Thank you for listening to the Golden Hour Drip podcast with me, Logan Lee Miller. Enjoy the show. Welcome back to the Golden Hour Drip podcast. I'm your host, Logan Lee Miller. Oh my gosh, I almost messed up on my name. That's how you know this Friday is going a little haywire. I will say I am recording this day of. I cannot remember the last time I recorded a podcast day of and posted it that day. I'm going to say it was back to college when I was, juggling a full-time job and also college and just starting my podcast. I remember so many times trying to record that morning, editing it while I was working on campus as a student ambassador. I gave little tours of the college. And then when I was driving, at the time I was working for an insurance company, I was driving, had my laptop open on my hotspot for my cell phone, trying to upload the video so that it could go up. I think I started work at noon. I tried to be in the office at noon because it was part-time at the time. And I thinking back, I'm oh my gosh, how did I do it all? And to be honest, this week has been kind of similar. I've been juggling a few things, and we're almost in the middle of this month, which is absolutely insane and crazy. But I was really, one of my biggest goals is to balance the crazy with being present. And I will say that this week was a definite measure of where I'm spending my energy. And I know that I've been talking about this for the last 2 months. If you could put a theme on the Golden Hour Drip podcast for the last 2 months, it would be auditing. I swear, I have just been so meticulous with what energy sucks I've been having. And I just, had a conversation with one of my friends, and we were talking about how when you are evaluating your life or you're looking at the things that you do, but it doesn't necessarily make you happy or fulfilled. Maybe it's a commitment that you made and you're when I made this commitment, I was in a different life or life period, whatever. Sometimes it can feel like a totally different life, a couple years later. And you're thinking, oh my gosh, how did I get here? The changes that have made and just the evolution of your day to day. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, where are the commitments that I made to myself, right? As I'm having this conversation, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, there are a couple energy sucks that I have right now. And I mean, I just said, for the past 2 months, I've been so meticulous on where I've been spending my time. And even then, there are things that have been holding me back, if you will. And I don't like that feeling at all. I don't like the feeling that things could be possibly holding me back from what I want to be doing. And when you really break down an energy suck or a time commitment that you don't necessarily like, but you might be stuck in this cycle. Or you might be thinking, oh, I just need to stick it out a little bit longer, or now is not a good time, or any of the other stories that we tell ourselves. And I was looking at my schedule and I was looking at the things that are taking the most time or taking a big chunk of my time. And I'm looking at scheduled meetings, something that is every month at a certain time, or is something that is on the clock, right? And when I look at those things, I think to myself, oh, I don't want to quit. I don't want to be known as a quitter. When I make a commitment, I mean it, right? I had the intention that I was going to sign up for this thing, and life changes, life shifts, and you are doing yourself a disservice by staying stuck in something that is no longer serving you or not bringing any benefit to your life. I have been kind of not looking forward to, kind of dragging my feet, if you will, for a couple of the things that I really, really, really need to start separating myself from, things that are taking a lot of my time, taking a lot of my energy. And it's not necessarily like something I want to continue doing. Do you ever have that one thing that you're like, oh gosh, like I signed up for this, or maybe it's a friendship or a part of your job where you are just like, you don't look forward to it. It's kind of a dreading thing. Maybe in the past, like you signed up for it and you really loved it and you had like all sorts of positive energy, positive intention towards this like thing. But now, like as time passes by, you're reevaluating and rethinking, right? And I don't think that quitting should be viewed as a bad thing. I don't think putting boundaries in place or like evaluating like where you want your life to be. I am so big and so like committed to designing the life that I desire and making sure that every single aspect of it, every single molecular facet of it is exactly what I choose, not what someone else is choosing for me, not the suggestions made by loved ones or people who have the most positive intentions, but they don't know your heart. They don't know your journey or the direction that you're wanting to like go on. And so they might not understand it. They might not think, oh my gosh, like, I was counting on that person to be a pillar in this organization, or, oh, I was really counting on you to be an employee, or really needing you to like have this commitment. But to me, I have to just like think to myself, like, is this going to push me in the direction of my goals? Is this going to make my life a little happier? Is this going to fulfill me? And when I break it down in that level, it seems so easy. Like, this thing is not making me happy. Obviously, I need to quit it. Obviously, I need to have that tough conversation. And that's what's hard, the conversation, because we put so much weight in our commitments. But we also put the weight in someone else's opinion and what they think and how they will respond and what they think of us, right? Like our character and our way of being, who we are, our reputation is vital and it's very important. But you have to separate someone else's personal feelings away from what your true desires are and what you want. Because if you're thinking of that area in your life right now, like I said, I named off several where I'm like, this is a time suck. This is not bringing forth like happiness, or I'm spending a lot of energy on this and it's not like coming back to me, right? And it feels like a fruitless effort. And whenever you are in that sort of situation, you are sending a signal to everybody else, hey, like Logan's okay with wasting her time. Logan is okay with not being diligent in her schedule or her meetings or where she is showing up, right? Like showing up is so important, and we only have so much energy and so much time. So if we are putting forth so much effort and so much energy for a certain thing, but it's not even the thing that we are truly destined to do. It's not even the thing that we truly desire or that makes us happy, then we are taking away from what is most important. We are taking away from our mission in this season. We are taking away from what is important and what is going to move the needle towards success. And oh my gosh, success can mean so many different things to so many different people. For me, success means that I'm going to be able to have a night in and have a clean house. Okay, this is like one of my perfect evenings. This is what I strive for every single Friday. Okay, this is like my perfect dream life Friday. And since it's a Friday, I just want to paint the picture to you on what my perfect Friday is. My perfect Friday is I have a lovely work day, right? I woke up leisurely. I got my coffee. I started on emails. I had time outside. I have a lunch break, and I wind down the evening My house is clean because I always try to clean on a Thursday or throughout the week. So it's picked up. It's nice. And Friday, I want to light my candles. Okay. I want to turn on our electric fireplace so I can see those beautiful flames. I want it to be illuminated throughout my house with soft lighting. Right now with autumn, we have these little glass pumpkins that have orange lights in them. They're beautiful. They're stunning. They make me so happy. So I turn those on. I have 2 lanterns that my Aunt Charlotte gifted me for my wedding. I turn those on. Also a soft amber light. I have my Olipop or my Spindrift and I crack that open. I nestle in on the couch. Maybe I made food from home, right? Like I cooked myself a little home cooked meal, or maybe we ordered takeout. Maybe we got Chinese. Maybe we got pizza. Maybe we got pad thai. I get into my couch. I have my blankie and I turn on reality TV. That makes me happy. All of my work is done. Okay. I'm not stressing on my computer about website design or sending emails to clients or working on a podcast or doing this or doing that because I've already had enough time throughout my week to do those things. So when Friday comes around, I want to be content. I love a Friday night movie. Growing up, my parents would get a movie from either a grocery store that had a little DVD rental section, or we would rent it from a Redbox. And when I was really, really little, when Netflix mailed you a movie, right? Mailed you a disc. So movies were really, really special for my family. And Friday night was really special for our family because we didn't have school. We could stay up. And so I love to create the ambiance of a Friday. I love to romanticize it. And I won't get that perfect Friday if I overschedule myself, if I don't have enough time in my work week to get the things done that need to be done. And I'm just over not having time to really think about how I want to spend it, right? Obviously, Fridays are really important to me, but so are Monday nights, so are Sundays. And when you put it in the perspective of, I just painted you this beautiful Friday night, that's how I like to spend it. You can spend it any way you want, right? But I encourage you, just sit down and think about what a perfect Friday, or maybe you don't like Fridays. Maybe it's a Saturday or a Sunday or a random Wednesday. Whatever it is, what do you have to do to get to that perfect evening or to get to that perfect morning? What hard conversations do you have to have? Where do you need to set those boundaries? Or even so, maybe you don't have a living space by yourself. Maybe you live with roommates and you want to one day own your own apartment or own your own home. What do you have to do to get there? And when you break it down on what do you have to do, that also means who do you have to become? Who are you starting to show up as? Is it someone who is decisive? Someone who does not allow energy leaks to suck out all their motivation, all their drive, all their happiness because they're worried about a million other things. Because when you can actually take it from the perspective of, I want this so bad. I want this perfect Friday night. What do I need to do to set myself up for that? What do I need to say no to? Where do I need to set a routine, right? If I'm sleeping in every single day, and I, don't get up until 10 or 11, which I have a job. I have to get up earlier than that. But if you're just waking up right before work and you're not being able to work on your passion projects or get yourself a cup of coffee or maybe make yourself a lunch so that noon rolls around, you're not running around trying to find fast food, or munching on a bag of chips and calling that good. No, you have the time, you have the intention. Because whatever goals you have, whatever is going to make you the most happy, that's what you need to be working on. It doesn't matter anybody's opinion, although it's hard, right? Right now, me sitting here, I know that there are things that I need to say no to. There are things that I need to completely reevaluate, and I'm going to need to have some hard conversations. And that sucks. Nobody wants to disappoint anybody. Nobody wants to have to be the bad guy. But ultimately, the conversation is going to be short, right? Like it's going to be short. It will feel like a Band-Aid, right? Like you rip off the Band-Aid and it seems like a floodgate of all the things. You're like, oh gosh, like we have this and we have that. And it's like, it's so scary, right? But we're building up the anticipation in our head. It is truly not that scary. Life is too short to not be living it how you want to be living it. So you can do what I did, had a conversation with a friend. I was like, all right, I definitely took a look at my schedule, or even just like notating or acknowledging when you're not feeling so good about a certain thing. So say you have a routine coffee date with one of your friends every Thursday, and you used to look forward to it, but now like parts in your life have changed and you guys aren't connecting on the same level. Maybe you're in different life stages. Maybe they're doing something that doesn't align with you, or maybe it's habits or routines or whatever it is, and you're no longer looking forward to that. That's a hard conversation. One, to like stop doing that thing that is so part of your routine, but also so lovingly. Like if you continue on this path, if you continue doing something that doesn't fill you up, that doesn't make you happy, you are now allowing someone else's feelings to be more important than your own. And while I do think it's nice to take other people's feelings into consideration, that doesn't mean that you need to sacrifice your dream. That does not mean that you need to sacrifice what you're going after or what is going to propel you into your next level. It is nice to be considerate. It's nice to let them down easy, but also like if you are just allowing something to not end, if you are just constantly letting it flow and go, it's kind of like a pool, right? Like if you have a inflatable pool, or I don't know why they call them inflatable, like one of those big pools, right? And they are like plastic to some extent, right? And a little hole gets in it and it doesn't seem like a big deal, right? Like it's just a little hole. But the more time passes, the lower your water is going to drop in your pool. And if we're thinking of the water in the pool of our time, our energy, our happiness, that little pinprick hole doesn't seem like that big of a deal. We might just toss another bucket in it, but then we get another hole in a different spot. This time it's a little bigger, right? Like it's a little bit more painful. Water is now rushing out of that hole and your first hole. And you try and like fill a bucket. You're having to generate this energy, or you might have to start taking it from other places, right? Like the energy that you had for one area, you're now like having to fill this gap, this hole, and you're not able to like utilize it in the way that you're wanting to utilize it. Instead, if you just pop the Band-Aid on, if you take the time to assess the damage and think, oh gosh, like, why is this hole draining? If you can do that, if you can actually take time for yourself and audit where that energy suck is going, then you can set yourself up better. Then you can think, oh, I see this, and you can stop the hole faster. Because when you can have the hard conversations quicker, then we stop the pain point faster. Then it's like, oh, okay, like I see where this is going. I don't like that. I want to save my energy for something else. So I'm going to have that hard conversation and I'm going to put a boundary up, right? Like a boundary. Oh my gosh, it's like a little duct tape. Like, no, you can't have my water, right? So thank you so much for listening to this week's podcast episode. Happy Friday. I can't believe that I'm recording day of, right? Like it seems like such a nostalgic kind of situation, but I know it's because I had things going on this week that were an energy suck. And moving forward next week, like I am not going to have those things that hold me back, because I'm going to have very hard conversations today, and I'm going to put a stop to some of the things that are, draining me of my energy. So thank you so much for listening. Make sure you rate, review, subscribe, all of the things, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.